ईश्वरे कर्तृता बुद्धिः सत्त्वोपादेयतान्तिमे स्वकर्म परिणामश्च शास्त्र सारार्थ उच्यते. The summary shloka of the 18th chapter. Ishvare kartrita buddhihi. To realize that the ultimate doer is Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Ishvare kartrita buddhihi. Sattvopadeyatantime. Cultivating sattva and doing every action rooted in the mode of sattva. Swakarma parinamascha. Swakarma parinamaha. Swakarma is the outcome of one's svabhava. The beauty of the Gita is Krishna never recommends to fight against our own svabhava. Because svabhava, which is the nature of the body-mind-intellect complex, swarupa is the nature of the Atma. When we say swarupa, it essentially means the nature of our own true nature, the nature of the Atma. Svabhava is also nature, but it's the nature of the body-mind complex in which the Atman indwells. Throughout the Gita, Krishna never recommends that we fight against our svabhava. Svabhava is given. He only talks about how to use our svabhava to realize our swarupa. So therefore, when he talks about swakarma, swakarma is our swadharma, our duty, which essentially issues out of our svabhava. Whatever we do, it is always determined primarily by our own inclinations that we inherit. Whether we realize and acknowledge, all of us have our own unique inclinations, which are products of our own karma. Now, these inclinations are so very strong that it is impossible to discount them. So therefore, we need to use these very inclinations in order to choose the nature of work that we do. The whole segment on Varna Dharma, this is exactly what Krishna tries to demonstrate. It is important for us to align our swabhava with our swakarma. And when we do that, there is no struggle in the work that we do. And when there is no struggle in the work that we do, it helps us to cultivate sattva and therefore transform the nature of the work that we do. The same work which is binding in nature can be transformed to one which is liberating in nature. That is why Gita is so very practical. Swakarma parinamascha shastra sarartha uchyate. Shastra sarartha, the very essence, quintessence of all the Shastras is packed towards the end of the Gita Shastra. Bhakti Prapatti. In a way, from Shloka 59 onwards, Krishna is building the foundation for what is to come, the very essence of Shastra. The Prapatti Shastra, which is going to be revealed towards the end, the Charama Shloka, which we celebrate as the ultimate directive that we can apply for success in our lives, Krishna starts to build the foundation for that. And the foundation for that is this principle of akartritva. Throughout the Gita, we see Krishna talking about the importance of akartritva. Ahankara always manifests as kartritva. Kartritva is doership. It is quite natural for us to assume, to think that we are the doers. It is extremely difficult for us to digest the fact that we are the non-doers. How can we even digest something like this? Because in our day-to-day life and living, the way we operate, when our consciousness is rooted at the level of the body, when we are rooted in ahankara, that ahankara manifests as doership. So every action that is done, we automatically assume that the doership of that action is very much mine. Prakriteh kriya karmani gunaih sarvani karmasaha. Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate, right? The theme of kartritva and akartritva, Krishna starts to build right at the beginning of the Gita. But it is not something which is very easy for us to reconcile, because it is completely against our day-to-day beliefs based on which we operate. So therefore, while during the initial parts of the Gita, when we discuss kartritva and akartritva in the second chapter and the third chapter, it may seem at best very theoretical. So Krishna does say, yes, ascribe your doership to Prakriti, because it is Prakriti which impels you to do every action. Then Krishna expands on that in the 5th chapter, and then the culmination of the theme of akartritva happens in the very 18th chapter, when he points out who is the ultimate karta, Ishvare kartrita buddhihi. What becomes clear as we start peeling the various layers of our own, the stack of our existence, it becomes very clear that we are compelled to do actions, certain type of actions, only because of our svabhava. Our swarupa, our true nature, is only to love and serve Bhagavan. Our true nature is only to love and serve him. Any action which is not aligned with loving Krishna and serving Krishna is a wrong action. Again, throughout the Gita, Krishna keeps trying to come back to the same answer to Arjuna's question, what is the right action? Arjuna asks what is the right action in the context of whether to engage in his duty of being a warrior or not, but Krishna takes that one level higher and addresses all of us in terms of what is the right action in our lives. If we need to be aligned with our swarupa, right action is any action which incorporates loving and serving Krishna. Everything else is a wrong action. Every other action is impelled by Prakriti, our own body. Unfortunately, Prakriti is like a teacher which gives a multiple choice questions to us, where every choice is wrong. Imagine a question paper is set, what is the capital of India? A, Dubai, B, Washington, C, New York, D, Moscow. Now the student has to necessarily choose one of the choices. Now all the four are wrong, and the student ends up choosing an action, choosing a desire which is impelled by Prakriti, and ends up doing an action, and that action is a wrong action. Whereas Prakriti is incapable of presenting us any desire which will result in loving and serving Krishna. That is the reason why when Krishna says ascribe actions to Prakriti, akartritva, right in the 3rd chapter, he is essentially talking about realizing that all the actions which are wrong that we do day in and day out, ascribe them to Prakriti. And when we ascribe all the wrong actions to Prakriti, we realize that we do have a choice. While we cannot redefine our body, mind and intelligence, we cannot redefine it, but we can redirect it. Because what is given is given. And how do we redirect it? Redirect it towards Ishvara. So when we look at our own existence, it's a stack. We keep constantly taking this analogy of a stack. Physical body, mental body, intellect, intelligence, prana, Atman, Paramatman. Now, while talking about Kartrutva, ultimately Krishna talks about how every action is a product of all the five. Panchaitani Mahabaho Karanani Nimodame. There are five causal factors. So therefore, knowing that, hey Arjuna, do not conclude that you are the Karta. Adhishtanam. No, Adhishtanam tata Karta, Karanam chapratak vidham, Vividhas chapratak cheshta, Daivam chaivatra panchamam. There are five factors, including Devam. Bhagavan, Ishvara is also one of the factors. Then immediately we ask this question. If that is the case, then why Krishna also talks about Atman being the Ishvara? Ishvara means ruler. Shariram yadavapnoti yacchapi utkramati Ishvaraha, he says. Atma, which is indwelling in the body, is also Ishvara. The ruler of the body is the Atman, which means there is some controllership that is given to the Atman, but the scope of the controllership is only for the Atman to choose the ultimate controller. The Atman has two choices. Either it lets itself be controlled by the body, or it lets itself be controlled by the ultimate controller. This is the most crucial choice that we can ever make in our life and living. The choice is only as simple as this. We make the choice to be controlled by our own body, or we realize that ultimate control is Bhagavan and we let him control us. Now, in the context of Akartrutva, Krishna already clarified that there is some sense of freedom and free will given to every jiva. We need to recognize this. Otherwise, everything is his will becomes a very easy excuse for us. Bhagavad Sankalpa, I cannot come to satsang. No, it's not Bhagavad Sankalpa that I cannot come to satsang. There is a scope of swatantriya, of freedom to exercise free will that is given to the Atman. But depending on the karma, that scope is constrained, is limited. However, the first step always has to be from the Atman. We have seen this before. For the sake of all of us, because we are getting into the last and most important phase, heading towards the Charma Shloka, I'm once again doing a quick recap of how Bhagavan, who is the agent of every action, actually operates. He is the inner controller, Antaryami in us. The agency of Krishna in every action that we do can be divided into three phases. May sound very, very new, but we discussed this at length few months back. Adhya pravritti, dvitiya pravritti, tritiya pravritti. Adhya pravritti means phase 1. Dvitiya pravritti, phase 2. Tritiya pravritti, phase 3. The agency of Krishna in every action, when he is the controller, he is the ruler, his will operates in three phases. Adhya pravritti means phase 1. During phase 1, Bhagavan gives us some freedom. He supports us to exercise our free will. Our free will is given so that we can exercise it in the right manner, make the right choice. So the duty, the responsibility of choice making is very much with us. We cannot blame it on Krishna. Now in that phase, when he gives us a limited swatantra, freedom to exercise our free will, Bhagavan's role is udasina. Udasina means one who is a silent witness. He is silently witnessing. As Antaryami, he is there. Any choice that we are making, he is silently witnessing it. Wrong or right choice, he silently witnesses. And in that process, he also sanctions it. That is phase 2. Anumanta, the one who sanctions. Just because he is the one who gives us the free will does not mean that he is also giving us the free will to do wrong actions. No, Krishna's sanctioning is not necessarily his desire. It is not his intention. There is a difference between sanction and intention. Krishna wants us to always take the right actions. That is why he gives us this entire body-mind complex, so that we can use these unique faculties and always make the right choices. Depending on the choices that we make, phase 2, he becomes from udasina, he becomes anumanta, which means he sanctions the action. Phase 3, he transforms into dyotaka, means one who guides, leads, impels, empowers, which means he is the ultimate doer there. He completely takes over. Now, immediately we have this question to ask. Then what happens if I make wrong choices? If I do papa karma, will Krishna then be a dyotaka? Will he empower me to do papa karma? The Shastras are very clear. The moment our choice is against the Shastra, Krishna remains a udasina throughout. This is why when we are aligned with Shastra, he takes over. We are in a position to delegate our responsibilities to him, because by becoming the dyotaka, he ensures, he empowers, and therefore our actions are successful by design, because we are completely aligned with the laws of the universe and the lawmaker. The moment we start breaking the laws, then we are on our own. We are on our own, subject to his laws of karma. So this we should be very clear. So therefore, we kartas? We are kartas, because we cannot say we are not kartas, because then the whole purpose of Shastra is lost, because Shastra is addressing us as karta. Now interestingly, Shastra is addressing all the kartas, the 5 factors, including Bhagavan. We may ask, how is that? Shastras are meant only for us. Now let's take this analogy. There is roadworks going on, and a lot of laborers are doing work. They are clearing, let's say, the road. The road is filled with rocks and the laborers are clearing, and the master is giving instructions as to how it should be cleared. Somebody walks in and says, looks at the master and says, can you finish the job quickly? Now the master will turn around and say, are you addressing me or my laborers? Obviously the address is to both, because unless it is addressed to the master, it will not reach to the laborers. Similarly, the Shastras are meant for all the kartas, Jivatma and the Paramatma. The only difference is, in the case of Paramatma, the Shastras pray to him to do his Dharma. In the case of Jivatma, the Shastras instruct to do our Dharma. Both have to do our Dharma. His Dharma as Sarvarakshaka, Sarvaseshi, Niyanta, Sarvadhara, he needs to necessarily do his Dharma. Therefore, the Shastras pray to him. And it is because of that prayers, he repeatedly takes avatars to protect us. And the same Shastras give injunctions to all of us to do our Dharma. Now, when we understand this, we then realize that we are kartas, we are also akartas. We realize that we are not sole doers, at the same time we are not complete non-doers. Again, let me repeat that. We are not sole doers, at the same time we are not complete non-doers. So therefore, we always, this question of the role of free will can never be discarded. Now, this is what Krishna has taught so far. Now, what is going to happen in the next 7 shlokas is a different matter. Because as we reach to the crescendo, we will get a new dimension to this teaching through the Charama shloka. But now Krishna, to 59 and 60, he is essentially giving another flavor of the Kartritva Buddhi in us. When there is this Swatantriyabhimana, what is Swatantriyabhimana? Swatantra is sense of freedom. No, we all think we are free. This is a myth. Freedom is absolute freedom is a myth. We have no absolute freedom whatsoever. The freedom, the scope of freedom is always constrained, limited. So therefore, Krishna is going to talk about, when I say I am Karta, here Krishna says, when Arjuna says, no, I will not engage the war, it is not that Arjuna is saying I am Akarta. Arjuna is saying, instead of doing this, I will do that. He is still rooted in Kartritva Buddhi. So he is giving another flavor of Kartritva here, and he says, Yad ahankaram ashritya. This ahankara, he touched upon in the earlier shloka also. Atachetvam ahankaraha. No, if you continue to be rooted in ahankara, nashosyasi vinangshasi. There is, if you do not listen to me, this is what we discussed last week. If you continue to be rooted in ahankara, hey Arjuna, and if you do not listen to my advice, Krishna is giving a very simple advice and assurance. He says, I am there. I am there. I will guide you. I will support you. I will ensure that you will reach the destination. But because of our ahankara, we continue to say, no, why do I need you, hey Krishna? I can get things done by myself. This is the way we operate. This sense of being free, sense of being independent. We think we are independent doers. We think we can control things independently. It's, there is this interesting saying, right? Man's plans lead to hopeless end. God's plans lead to endless hope. And when we plan, Krishna laughs, because it is not to say that we should not plan, but the very ahankara that I can control, I can decide what is right for me and what is wrong for me. When this ahankara rules, then we don't surrender to Shastra. All of us keep asking this question. Why do people not take up Gita? Why do people not come and take surrender of Shastras? There are countless people who don't consider Shastras of any use or any meaning in their lives. It is purely because of ahankara. Because as long as I tend to believe in the myth that I and I alone can take the right decisions, then I don't surrender. The need to surrender does not come, because I've already surrendered to my body, I've already surrendered to my mind, I've already surrendered to my desires. So once I surrender to somebody, there is no way I can surrender to anything else. So this is yadahankaram ashritya, taking shelter of your ahankara, hey Arjuna, nayotsya iti manyase. By instead of taking my shelter, hey Arjuna, if you take the shelter of your own ahankara, and then if you start thinking, nayotsya, I will not engage in this war, I will not do my duty. Because why? I know what is right and what is wrong for me. I know that it is better for me to walk away from the battlefield. I'll do something else. This is what was Arjuna's thinking process. Now Krishna once again is bringing Arjuna back to that central question that he cannot escape fighting the war. He says, nayotsya iti manyase mityaisha vyavasayaste. Vyavasayaste. Your determination, hey Arjuna, is misplaced. Now all of us have one or other form of determination. So Krishna also classified determination into threefold: sattvika, rajasika, ahankara, and tamasika. So therefore, it is not having determination, but it is having sattvika determination. That is very important. Here he says, mityaisha vyavasayaste. That determination, that resolve of yours, hey Arjuna, anything that you resolve, base rooted in your ahankara because of pride, that is of vain, because that will not be fulfilled. That will become mithya, that is false. Because why? When you are aligned, essentially Krishna is giving, once again saying, you only have two choices. Either you align with me or you align with your body. When you are aligned with your body, you are at the peril of your own body, your own mind, and nobody can help you. Nasoshyasi vinankshasi, vinankshasi, peril, perish, you will perish. Perishing means continuing to be in the cycle of samsara. If you need to find a way out, you cannot align yourself with the body. Vityaisha vyavasayaste prakritistvam niyokshati. Because why? Whether whatever you think, that if you think you can walk away and not engage in doing your duty, sooner or later your prakritistvam niyokshati. Prakriti here, the Mula Prakriti, which has manifested as your body will impel and compel you to act, because you are a Kshatriya here, Arjuna. Now you are saying, looking at Bhishma, looking at Drona, you are saying you will not fight. Let's say you walk away. After few days, somebody will laugh at you saying, Arjuna, the great warrior, has walked away from the war. Immediately you will pick up Gandiva. Because that is your nature. You are a Kshatriya. No, it's like there was this man who was working in a travel agency. Day in and day out, he was only doing bookings for people, right? Many years passed by. He was getting, he thought he should now transform. And he said, fine, the day has come when I should pack off my bags and go to Rishikesh. So, packs his bag, goes to Rishikesh, finds a Guruji there, ashram, everything fine. He joins, and then just matter of days, he lands up in the travel booking for the Guru, for the Guru, doing once again booking the travels for the Guru. He continues to be the same travel agent, just that his location is changed. If it goes to Rishikesh. Similarly, hey Arjuna, you today, right at this moment, you are carried away by your own emotions, and because of your misidentification with your body, you are now saying you will not fight. But prakritistvam niyokshati. You are made up of, you have a svabhava which you cannot fight against it. And therefore, you must follow my advice. Because if you don't follow my advice, you are going to be dragged by your body sooner or later. So it is for you to now to decide. Then he expands on this in the next shloka. And he says, svabhavajena kaunteya. Nibaddha svena karmana. So, swabhavajena. So, this word swabhava is essentially, Krishna says, swabhavajena kaunteya. Kaunteya, essentially, it is your swabhava which determines the kind of action. How do we understand swabhava? We have our favorite analogy of the car and the driver. Throughout, even when we discuss the akartritva anusandhana, we discuss how we should always contemplate how I am the driver and not the car. Now, but then the car, the vehicle, is very much needed for us to reach the destination, for us to drive, for us to move. Now, this body is like the car. Now, swabhava essentially means characteristic, the nature of the body, mind, intellect complex. So how do we understand swabhava? Taking the example of the vehicle, the Atman has the body as its vehicle. Now this vehicle can be of any type. It can be a Toyota Corolla, or it can be a Ferrari. What is important is your nature compels you to do certain activities. Means we need to realize the functionality and the capacity of the vehicle. The body has certain functionality and certain capacity, certain characteristics. So I cannot sit in a Toyota Corolla and try to race. That is the functionality of capacity of a Ferrari. So therefore, every body, taking the analogy of vehicle, it can be any kind of car, it can be a bicycle, it can be a rickshaw, it can be an aeroplane. An aeroplane can fly, a bicycle cannot fly. So the functionality and the capacity is essentially the svabhava. The svabhava is the stock of the vasanas, which also in a way determine the type of the body as well. Some of us are by design built in a different way. Each of us are built in different way. Someone can by nature lift weights, someone cannot lift. The body has certain capacity. Now, I am not in a position to redefine my body. I can only redirect it. I cannot change because there are certain things which are given. Therefore, the svabhava that I inherit, which is the stock of my vasanas, is given. What Krishna is beautifully saying is, don't try to fight against your svabhava. Because if we fight against our svabhava determines our inclinations, our interests. It is important that we use the material nature to realize our spiritual nature. How do I realize my spiritual nature? What is the means available for me? The means available are the body, the mind, and my intelligence. If I have to do kainkariya to Krishna, I have to use this very body. If I have to contemplate and pray to Krishna, I have to use this very mind. If I have to choose Krishna over above everything else, I have to use this intelligence. But all of this are part in the realm of matter. The beauty is to use material nature to realize spiritual nature, which means do not struggle against your own material nature. All of us are products of sattva, rajas, tamas. Some of us have more rajas. We cannot struggle against it, because if we struggle against it, we will end up not doing anything in a proper fashion. All that Krishna is saying, if rajas is higher and if your sattva is supporting that rajas, then you are a kshatriya. And do your duties as a kshatriya. And in the process of doing your duty, now material nature determines the work that we do, but the purpose of the work is determined by us. So whatever work that we do, we can choose the purpose of that work. So which means the same action can be elevated by choosing a higher purpose. So this is beauty of Krishna's teachings. So here he's saying, svabhavajena kaunteya nibaddha svena karmana. This svabhava binds you, nibaddaha. So we all think we are free, whereas we are bound. Asha pasha shathair baddaha kamakrota parayanaha. Asha pasha shathair baddaha. Hundreds and hundreds of desires bind us, whereas we think we are free. We think we are choosing our desires, but actually our desires are choosing us. We become so weak. The free will that is given to us, if it is not exercised regularly, many times we think we do not have free will because we don't exercise it. If we continue to not exercise it, choosing the right choices, what happens? Our free will becomes weaker and our desire starts to choose. So, asha pasha shatair badda. While we are bound, we still think we are free. This is what Krishna is saying. So, kartum ne chasi yan mohat. Kartum na ichasi yan mohat. This is only moha, your delusion here, Arjuna. If you think I will not do this duty. Why? Because karishyasi avashopishat. Karishyas avashaha. Helpless. You will be helplessly doing the same thing that I am telling you. Today, you are giving all reasons as to why you cannot do this job on the battlefield. But the same Arjuna was doing the same thing in the past. Arjuna was fighting wars, left, right, and center. The same Arjuna will do it in the future as well. Why? Because you are a Kshatriya by nature. And you will do, if you do not take my directives, avashopi sat, you will only doing helplessly. Helplessly because we get dragged. Because when the beauty is three tattvas, chit, achit, ishvara. So chit tattva is prakriti, the insentient matter. Chit tattva is purusha, the sentient atman. Achit tattva is prakriti, the insentient matter. Ishvara, supreme controller. Now, the chit tattva, which is the purusha, the atman, when it is aligned with achit, which is matter, it becomes achit like. Which means our consciousness, even though we are endowed with unique faculty, our consciousness almost becomes contracted and we lose the capability of being aware. We lose the capability of exercising our free will. We become like stones and rocks and plants and trees. This is exact, both Achit Tattva and Ishvara Tattva have one thing in common. They essentially make the Chit Tattva similar to what they are. When we align with Achit Tattva, we become Achit like. When we align with Ishvara Tattva, we become Ishvara like. So, Moksha is essentially reaching Vaikuntha and enjoying that Samyapati with him. So, essentially Krishna is saying you have two choices. Your choice is very simple. Either you can listen to me, be aligned with me. Essentially, when Krishna says aligned with me, means aligned with me, aligned with the Shastra that I have given, aligned with the laws of this universe, physical laws and spiritual laws. That is one choice. The other choice is you can continue to think out of ahankara that you can do things on your own, being independent of me, being completely free, completely not bound. You will perish. Because why? The forces of Prakriti are so very formidable, they will completely transform you to become Prakriti, like you will lose completely. That is why we all become programmed robots while we're living, we are leading our lives. We don't even realize that we have that unique endowment of being aware of who we are, that unique endowment of exercising our free will. We just go about identifying ourselves with the body because we are aligned with Prakriti. So Krishna says, Arjuna, time is right for you to change your alignment. Listen to me, success will be yours. Because why? With my grace, you can cross over all the hurdles and reach the ultimate destination. With this foundation, now Krishna is going to expand on the Ishvara Tattva and how is the ultimate controller, leading all the way up to the Charama Shloka, which is only few shlokas away. Ram Sri Krishna Arpanamastu.